Hi, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK and Happy New Year. Now over the last few years, Suzuki has had some interesting turn of events. You had the little Suzuki Ignis, which swept up all of the awards for such a compact little 4x4. You also had the new Suzuki Jimny and also the commercial Jimny, which they just couldn't keep up the demand for how many people wanted those cars. Then you also had the Suzuki Sways and the Suzuki A Cross, which were designs and technology actually borrowed from Toyota as a bit of a tick box exercise. But for 2022, this is Suzuki's new offering. This is the upgraded third generation Suzuki S Cross. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at this car and seeing what it has to offer. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And it actually wasn't altogether that long ago that I tested out the previous generation S Cross, which are popping one of the pop-out banners up there. And actually, I really liked that car, and so did a lot of the owners, and they let me know in the comments. This car, however, is just elevated from the previous generation. It looks much more stylish and much more aggressive. It has that SUV styling that we've come to love. At the front, you've now got a brand new front design with this gloss black grille. You've also got the large Suzuki badge, and the bonnet shut is now further back. All versions of this car come with LED front lights, and I'd just like to mention that this is actually the bottom spec car. The top spec gets things like a panoramic sunroof, and you also get full leather interior. But let me tell you, for just £25,000, this car comes packed full of equipment, and that also comes with 17-inch alloy wheels. Now if we compare this to some of the competitors like the Nissan Qashqai, if you go for the bottom spec Nissan Qashqai, which will set you back about £400 less, you don't even get alloy wheels, let alone the infotainment screen that you've got inside or any of the rear view camera or anything like that. So the Suzuki S Cross is really good value for money, and I'm going to show that throughout the whole video. Other exterior changes include more angular wheel arches, and the shape of the side windows has changed. However, the dimensions of the car remain unchanged. Let's talk about the specifications because they're refreshingly simple. The Suzuki S Cross only comes in two different specifications. There's the entry-level Motion car, and then you have the top spec Ultra. Now the entry-level Motion, which I have behind me, comes in a manual or an automatic gearbox and comes standard as two-wheel drive. If you step up to the top spec car, it's still available in automatic or manual, but you also have as standard Suzuki's all-grip four-wheel drive system. How easy is that? You can't even add on any extra specification because, to be honest, they pretty much get everything you'll need. The only other choice you'll need to make is what colour you're going to have it in. It comes in the option of 6 different colours: the Titan Dark Grey Pearl Metallic, Solid White, Silky Silver Metallic, Cosmic Black Pearl Metallic, Energetic Red and Sphere Blue. Yes, that's right, Sphere Blue, like the shape. Not sapphire, like the colour. A bit odd. Around the back is probably where you're going to notice the biggest amount of change. It's much squarer than it previously was, but I personally think it looks great and looks a lot better than the previous generation. These rear lights, like we're seeing with a lot of designs, are linked with this chrome bar along the back. Now that square shape also means that the boot space is pretty practical. Inside here you'll find 430 litres, which isn't quite as good as some of its rivals, but the loading bay is quite low and it's really square and wide, so getting things in and out is really easy. You also get an adjustable boot floor, though it's a bit stiff, probably to do with it being very new, but you do get the adjustable boot floor as standard, which is really helpful. Rear space is adequate. It's not class leading, but it's not bad. I've got enough knee space and enough head space, but if you was over 6 foot, you definitely feel cramped back here. I've got a pull-out armrest with a couple of cup holders, but unfortunately it is lacking in any climate vents or any USB points. There tends to be three types of hybrids. You've got the plug-in, the strong hybrid, which will run on electric alone, and then you also have this, which is a mild hybrid, which means it does have a 48-volt battery in here. However, it won't run on electric alone. That electric just helps to boost the engine and give you a bit more power when you need it, and of course make the engine a bit more economical. Under here you've got a 1.4 litre booster jet engine, and together with the 48-volt battery that produces 126 brake horsepower and fuel economy of upward of 50 miles per gallon. Interior quality and design has never particularly been a high point for Suzuki, and unfortunately the new S Cross does follow in that trend. There is some materials that have elevated it over the previous generation, and that includes this really nice textured leather dashboard, and you've also got a matching leather armrest as well. But elsewhere in the cabin it does feel a little bit cheap. You've got some cheaper plastics down the centre console, and these seats do feel quite cheap. They're comfortable, but it's the materials used that feel a little bit cheaper than some of its competitors. You've now got a new shaped screen here, which is elevated, which I do like the look of, but I think is a little bit sneaky of Suzuki. They've made the screen look bigger, but when you actually look at the physical screen, it's inside of this casing. If you do go for the top spec model, this does grow in size, but this smaller one, unfortunately for me, does still feel a little bit outdated. It's a tiny bit dull. It's easy to use, and that's the main thing, and you do get Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, DAB, all as standard. So they're the important things, but I definitely think they could have just taken this a little bit further. But the standout thing for the Suzuki S Cross is the amount of specification you get as standard. I've got dual zone climate control, heated seats, I've got adaptive cruise control, automatic lights, automatic wipers, and remember, this is the entry level car. If you go for the Ultra, you then get a panoramic sunroof, and you also get a full leather interior, which I think would feel much nicer than these seats. Something I am really glad that they've added is those rear parking sensors. Suzukis do always tend to have reversing cameras as standard. However, not all of them also get parking sensors, and I'm somebody that's become really dependent on parking sensors, and actually when a car doesn't have them, it's become a bit of an issue for me. So I'm really glad that they've added them as standard to the S Cross. Most of the time, launch cars tend to be the top spec models, which in this case would have been the Ultra. But I'm actually quite pleased that I'm testing out the entry-level two-wheel drive car, because realistically, this is going to be the one that people are going to buy, and also matched together with the manual gearbox. Again, this is probably going to be the most popular S Cross. Let's face it, the S Cross is not set up for power. That hybrid engine does give you a really nice quick burst of kind of energy, and it does feel nippy, but it isn't going to feel fast. But then again, I don't think anyone buying a Suzuki S Cross is going to have that power as an importance to them. It's more going to be important that it's comfortable, that it's practical, that it's safe, and the Suzuki S Cross has all of those boxes ticked. But that doesn't mean that it's entirely dull. The Suzuki S Cross is actually quite engaging. This manual gearbox is pretty nice. The kind of ratios between the gears is good. I've heard that it's actually better with the ratios between the gears than it would be if you went for the automatic box. I still probably would pick an automatic just because I far prefer an automatic gearbox, even if the ratios aren't particularly great on them. I just find it easier to drive, and especially in a car like this where it's all set up for comfort. But actually the steering is pretty sharp, and this little car has limited body roll round corners. Overall, it's pretty good. As I mentioned, the S Cross is a mild hybrid, so as I come off of the accelerator, the car then charges the battery, and that 48-volt battery then complements the engine to give you a zippier amount of power at low speeds when it needs it, and it's really appreciated. It means that it's a quiet and comfortable drive, but also at low speeds it feels pretty nippy actually. This isn't a performance car. With 127 brake horsepower, it really is just going to be for those small journeys, but actually it's very good at doing that. At At low speeds, the S Cross is a little bit jiggly and doesn't feel quite as refined as some of its rivals. However, get onto a faster motorway like I'm on now and things really smooth out and this car becomes very quiet and comfortable. Road noise is still reasonably loud. It's not massively soundproofed in this cabin, but actually it's a lot better than some of its other competitors. As a car journalist, simplicity is something that I can really appreciate. I love it when a car is very simple to understand, and that is the S Cross all over. Yes, okay, it can be a little bit bland in places like the interior and the drive is not particularly exciting. But if those things aren't top of your list important, which I don't think they are for a lot of drivers, that means that the Suzuki S Cross ticks almost every other box. It's reliable, it's practical, it's good to look at, it's also economical, and top of them all, it's affordable. £25,000 in today's market doesn't get you a lot, but to get you a car with this much equipment, I think that's pretty impressive. Some of you that have followed along for a little while will know that I do actually work for a dealer that includes a Suzuki. Now today's views and opinions have all been my own and nothing has been dictated by them. However, if you are interested in the Suzuki S Cross or any other Suzukis, then if you follow the link below, someone will be happy to help you out. There wasn't particularly anything wrong with the previous generation Suzuki S Cross. It just lacked in some design flair, but I really think, at least from the exterior, they've nailed it this time around. And with all of that equipment you get with this car, it's such good value for money. And I really do think it's one of the best SUVs you can buy. But let me know, what do you think of the Suzuki S Cross? Pop it in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a massive thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!